Today I'm cutting apart one of Australia's biggest boot company's new boot to see what kind of kicker Australians make. Well, we finally made it down to Salt Lake and got the new shop set up and filming room kind of set up. I still want to make it look a little bit nicer than this and get some of the cut in half stuff on the walls. But I'm just gonna kind of slowly do it because it takes forever, and we're still getting the shop set up. So probably next Wednesday I'll do a shop tour and kind of show you guys the new shop and how it's all set up. And then we should be back to a regular filming schedule where I'm doing videos every Wednesday and Saturday or Sunday. And do you guys like Saturday releases better or Sunday releases? Because I'm thinking about moving all those weekend videos to Sunday, so let me know. But now let's talk about these boots. So the brand is Steel Blue, the style is the Blue Heeler, and they only come in one color right now, which is oak. They retail for just a little over $200 depending on where you buy them from. They're made in Indonesia, and they are a steel toe boot, and they weigh 2 pounds, 2 ounces for these size 11s. And sometimes I forget to add the weights of each boot, so I've tried really hard to remember them, but these are pretty light boots. So now let's talk about what these boots are and what a kicker is, if you don't know, because it's maybe not a universal term. So if you're not familiar with that term, and I'm gonna call them kickers from now on because I don't want to get in trouble with YouTube, and all my nieces and nephews watch my videos, and I don't want to get in trouble with my sisters. So what is a kicker for the last time? It says it's a substantially made boot with thick soles and typically with reinforced toes. If you look up the Urban Dictionary term, they describe it as a pair of heavy boots. Their second definition is kind of interesting. It says an Australian slang for someone who is charged with menial tasks in a place of employment. The term is often used in reference to one's self when describing the lowliness of one's own job. So that's not what it means if you're watching this from Australia. And for me, being raised in a rural area, everyone referred to their boots that way, and they were kind of their boots that they were always easy to slip on and go out to do a quick chore. They didn't have to lace them up, and they were dependable. The main things I look for in a pair of kicker boots, and maybe this ends up being a mini series of a few different styles of these boots to see which one I like best and which one's built best. But I look for something that's durable, something that's safe, something that's easy to slip on so I don't take 15 minutes lacing them up, and something that's waterproof. That way I can just go out and do whatever I need to. I don't have to worry about getting my socks wet or ruining the boots. And so that's kind of what I look for in a kicker boot. And I used to have a pair of Ariat boots, but they're now discontinued. And they look really similar to these boots. You've probably seen them before on the channel, but they look similar to these. So when I saw these boots, I was really intrigued by them. And actually, I forgot to even mention, this video is sponsored by Steel Blue. Moving still, it's kicking my butt. So when they reached out and they're like, hey, we should do a video. And I saw these, I was like, ooh, we should do these. Because these are like my boots I really liked a lot that were discontinued. So that's how we ended up doing them, because they look like they look like they check all those boxes that I look for. So let's go over some of the interesting things about these boots and some of the features before we cut them in half. So let's start with the leather. So this is a full grain cow skin leather that's oil treated to be water resistant. So I don't think this leather is waterproof, but the boot is waterproof. So I think there's probably a liner on the inside that lines the whole boot that makes it waterproof. But this leather is really soft and supple. Like it won't take too long to break these boots in because it's so soft, which is nice if you're really wanting to get to work quickly. The next thing I noticed about these boots was this little split in the side. I thought this was a defect when I got it. So I asked them about it, and they're like, hey, if you would have looked at our website, you would see that this is a gusset that stretches so it's easier to put your boots on. And I was like, oh, sorry. I hadn't looked at the website yet. And so basically what this is a little stretchy gusset right here. So when your foot rounds that corner, it's easy to slide these on instead of struggling to pull them on, like if you've ever owned a pair of pull-on boots that are too tight. And they also waterproof this, so you don't have to worry about water getting through there. And maybe the biggest thing that I thought was interesting about this company was their 100% comfort guarantee. So basically you got 60 days to wear these, and you can still get your money back if you don't like the boots, which is crazy. I don't think there's any other company that does that, because within 60 days, like some people can wear out a pair of boots in 60 days. So it's just a really good sign that this company believes in their products and stands behind their products and isn't cutting any corners that are gonna make the quality go downhill, otherwise they'd have to pay for it. So that's kind of the general information of the boot, but to really see what's going on inside of here and what we're missing, how it's waterproofed and how this outsole is structured, we gotta cut them in half. And I'm not sure if my bandsaw will cut through the steel toe. So we might end up doing kind of like I did on the indestructible shoe video where I cut the toe off. But we'll try it first and see how it goes. And yeah, let's cut it in half. I think I just destroyed the bandsaw blade, but let's see what's inside. Okay, now we got it all torn apart. Let's go through the different layers, starting with the outsole, working our way up. So the outsole is a TPU or thermopolyurethane outsole. It's a fairly long lasting and slip resistant outsole. And up from there, we go to the midsole, which is a polyurethane or PU foam midsole. And pretty much all the Australian boot companies that we've torn apart have a very similar structure where they go TPU, PU, and fiberboard. But what makes these boots a little bit different is this huge chunk of poron at the heel. And the reason they put poron there is because it's a really shock resistant material, and not electrical shock, but impact shock. So they put it in the heel, so every time you hit your heel as you're walking, it absorbs some of that shock so it doesn't travel through your body and wear you out as much. I don't know if I've never compared the difference personally on how it made me feel having poron in a shoe versus not, but that's the whole theory behind it. So maybe one day I'll do like a side-by-side comparison, or maybe if we get some more testing equipment, we can do some interesting tests. But that's the I think, what do they call it? Three-phase tri-sole comfort technology. That's the tri-sole comfort technology. So up from there, we've got the fiberboard insole, and then up from there, we've got the liner. And I don't know what actually makes these waterproof. So I guess we'll see when we get them torn apart, because I thought I was gonna see kind of like a Gore-Tex liner or something in here, but it looks like it's just lined with like a little bit of foam and some backing and some of the fabric on the inside. So maybe the leather is waterproof, and maybe it's kind of like the Timberlands, how they're treated to be waterproof. But you can see some of the waterproof seal tape that goes around the seams, and like this little gusset right here, there's a piece of waterproofing tape that runs through there. Then we go to the toe. So it is a steel toe, and it burned out my bandsaw blade. And wearing these I noticed something that I don't see a lot of times in an affordable steel toe boot, where I hate steel toe boots because it wraps underneath of your foot and you feel it as you walk. Whereas these were really comfortable. I felt like it didn't wrap under as much, and maybe it's because it's a square toe that they're able to get away with a different contour in the steel toe. But I was surprised at how comfortable they were for a steel toe. And then up from there, we go to the leather, and the leather is around 2.5 to 3 millimeters thick. So pretty thick leather. So that's kind of all the different layers, but I want to still tear the rest of this apart to kind of get an idea if there's anything else we're missing in here. So I'm not sure exactly what this counter material is, and maybe I'm missing some of the waterproofing on the inside. And yeah, so let's tear the rest of it apart. Oh, and I forgot to mention, this does have a shank. It's a composite shank, or like a really hard plastic shank, and it's not quite as bend resistant as a steel shank, but it is going to give you more support than not having a shank. So I guess we'll kind of see what it looks like when we get it all torn apart. And I forgot one more thing. I'm out of practice. I haven't filmed in a couple weeks. So I forgot to mention the insert. So this is a foam insert and it's pretty thick. It's like 12 inches or 12 millimeters at the heel and right around 6 or 7 at the ball of your foot. So now I think I got everything. Let's rip the guts out of it. Okay, now that we've got all the guts ripped out of it, you can see on the inside here that they back all the seams, the sewing seams, with some waterproof tape. And this gusset right here, they back that with some waterproof tape. And even on the decorative stitch on the toe here, they back that as well. So there's nowhere for water to get in. And I thought this leather was oil treated to be water resistant, but not waterproof. And there was gonna be a liner on the inside, but as we can see, there's no waterproof liner. So this leather is waterproof treated, so it's a waterproof leather. The other things we saw in here, so the counter is a composite counter, just kind of a hard plastic counter. The shank is a composite shank. And I wonder why they don't put a steel shank in here. I know that these boots are electrical shock resistant, so I wonder if that has something to do with it, where they can't use a steel shank to get the rating of whatever for shock resistance. And then the steel toe, as you can see, it doesn't tuck under as much as I've seen on, or maybe even felt on some other steel toes. And like I was saying, it is a square toe steel toe, so it is really comfortable. And cause I never really found a steel toe boot that's really as comfortable as a regular boot. So I'm gonna wear the other pair of these that they sent me for a while and see how comfortable they are in the long run. But my initial wear impression was that these have a really comfortable steel toe, which is important. So what do I think of these boots now that we got them torn apart? I think they're a really good boot. You know, a lot of the features that you would look for in a kicker style boot, this checks off all those boxes. It seems like it does it really well. They're fairly comfortable with the steel toe. They're really comfortable because of their construction. You know, there's so much foam in here and the pour on and everything. I think you'd be happy with these boots, especially if you're looking for a pair of boots that you can beat up, that are reliable, that aren't going to get your feet soaked, that aren't gonna not protect your feet, that are gonna be easy to slip on and go do your chores and you don't have to worry about them. As for the look of them, they're not my style of boot. I'm not a big cowboy boot person. I don't really own a pair of cowboy boots for any other reason than for a pair of kicker boots. And you know, a square toe is a unique style, but for me, I don't really care what my pair of kickers looks like. You know, I just want them to perform well. And some people are into the cowboy boot style. A lot of people are into cowboy boots. So if you're into these and you like the style and you're looking for a good, reliable boot, I think you'll be happy with them. The only thing I didn't super love was the composite shank, but I still think you're gonna be fine as long as you're not really beating up this shank area. I don't think you'll have any issues with it, and it still is gonna support you. It's just, you know, it's never gonna be as supportive as a steel shank, in my opinion, but maybe I'm wrong. Let me know what you guys think about that and what you thought of this video. And thanks again to Steel Blue for sponsoring this video. And if you want to learn more about Steel Blue, I'll put their links to their Facebook page and their website and everything, so you guys can check them out. They're just starting to get into the American market. And yeah, I'm pretty impressed with them. And thanks for everything you guys do. Thanks for supporting this channel, and thanks for supporting this channel through the move and being patient with me, because moving the entire shop was a disaster. And in the shop tour video for Wednesday, I'll include some footage on the entire packing up and how much stuff we had to pack up and how crazy it was, because it was wild. And I'm glad we're moved into the new shop. So thanks for everything you guys do. See ya.